What's up, everybody? It's hot take time. And the subject for today's hot take is biological men competing in women's sports. Now, if you can see on my screen here is Lia Thomas, the new NCAA swim champion. Now, the reason I'm making this video today is because there's a big question right now as to whether or not this individual should be able to compete with women, biological women. You can already see the sentiment over here on the other side with the second, third, and fourth place swimmers all taking a group photo together, leaving Lia Thomas off by him, her, themselves. Now, my question here is, did they say anything about whether or not they wanted to compete against this individual? Did they say anything? Did they oppose Lia Thomas competing against them? Because really, I mean, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, Lia Thomas is competing within the rule set that was established. And if these other swimmers don't like the rules that have been established, they should speak out against it. It sure looks like they're not big fans of the fact that Lia Thomas got to compete against them. But my question is, did they say anything about it? If not, they should have. In my own personal opinion, I don't think Lia Thomas should be competing against them. And I'll tell you why. Let's see. This here is a table of the average skeletal muscle mass percentages between men and women. These individuals are between 18 and 29. You can see that this study was taken with a group of 200 women and 268 men. So a bigger percentage, or a bigger number of men participated in the study, but still a good sample size for women as well. Now, if you look at the relative skeletal muscle mass for women, ages 18 to 29, which is where these individuals fall, you're looking at about 34.1%, give or take 5.7 percentage points for women, whereas 42.3% for men. And you can follow this all the way down. You're looking at about an average of 8 to 9 percentage points between women and men. 30 to 39, 30.6% for women, 39.1% for men. 40 to 49, 29.2% for women, 37.1% for men, and it just keeps going on and on. So at this point, you can draw the conclusion that, and this isn't necessarily a study that was for trained individuals. This is just people, everyday people who decided to take part in this study. Now, you might bring up if you're aware of the whole situation, you might bring up the incident with Isaac Hennig, I believe the name is, who's also a transgender athlete. Female to male. Now, Isaac Hennig beat Lia Thomas. I need to really just settle on, because apparently, I need to settle on how to pronounce the name, because apparently people have say it Lia Thomas, other people say it Lia Thomas. I don't really care. But for consistency's sake, we're just going to call them Lia Thomas, because it makes sense. So, Isaac Hennig beat Lia Thomas. Now, there actually has been accusations of collusion between the two so that they may make a point. Now, in the 100 freestyle race, this is the race that Isaac beat Lia. In the 100 freestyle race, Hennig finished with a time 49.57. Thomas touched the wall in 52.84. Now, some people are saying that Thomas wasn't actually trying because during a November tri-meet with Princeton and Cornell, Thomas swam the 100 freestyle in 49.42. That's a difference of almost 3 seconds, which is huge in swimming, apparently. I'm not a big follower of swimming as a sport, but 3 seconds is apparently huge. So I'm not going to sit here and say that collusion did happen, but based on these two times, it sure looks like there was malfeasance afoot. So, yeah. I don't know, man. The whole issue here, I mean, you're looking at, there's conjecture that Lia Thomas is 6 feet 1 inch, which is about 3 inches above average for men. What's the average height for women in the United States? 5'4"? Something like that? So you might be looking at swimmers who are, I don't know, maybe they're all 5'8", 5'9". I mean, they look tall, but look at this. Look at this. It's crazy. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Now, this isn't the only instances in which this has happened. You can see Fallon Fox fractured her opponent's skull in an MMA fight. Fallon Fox, the first MMA fighter to come out as transgender, once fractured the skull of her opponent in an MMA fight in 2014. She was challenging Tamika Brents at Capital City Wage Wars event, where the 45-year-old brutally defeated her American opponent. The fight lasted just over 2 minutes after the referee was forced to halt the contest. Brents received 7 staples in her head and also suffered a concussion. She was overpowered by Fox to the extent that even the orbital bone inside her skull was fractured. I'll go on here because there's a quote here that Brents actually goes over. She says, "I've fought a lot of women and have never felt the strength that I felt in a fight as I did that night. I can't answer whether it's because she was born a man or not, because I'm not a doctor. I can only say I've never felt so overpowered ever in my life, and I am an abnormally strong female in my own right. Her grip was different. I usually move around in the clinch against other females, but couldn't move at all in Fox's clinch." I mean, this is just another instance. And this is going to keep happening as long as people don't speak out against this kind of thing. I don't know what Fallon Fox's record was before she joined the women's division, but my guess is that it probably wasn't that good. You can see, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Zuby, but Zuby is a British rapper who lifts weights, and to make a point, he came out and pronounced himself female, proceeded to break the women's deadlift record, which I forgive me, I don't actually, you know what, I'll look it up here. Zuby deadlift record. 525 pounds. Now, that's by no means anywhere near the world record for men. I think men is just over 1,100 pounds. 1,100 pounds. This is a little bit less than half that. I don't consider myself personally super strong, but I can do about 400 warmed up. Zuby initially broke this record and then went straight back to identifying himself as male. Now the question is, it's like, okay, you can say that, okay, Lia Thomas, she's on estrogen, she's transitioned. Well, sure, but transitioned when? 20 years? She was 20 years old when she transitioned. The point leading up to that 20 years, she had testosterone coursing through her body. 20 years for that body to develop as a male, and then all of a sudden cut it off. I don't know if she got it cut off or not, but probably on hormone replacement. She had 20 years of development within her body to develop a higher percentage on average, probably of about, if we look back at this chart, probably somewhere around 8%, 9%, maybe even 10% if she was training, had all that time to develop all that extra bone mass, or muscle mass rather, and probably figured out wasn't good enough to compete against the males, so decided, I'll just compete as a female. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now you can say, okay, yeah, we'll go back to this Isaac Hennig. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go back to this Isaac Hennig for a second here, because Isaac Hennig identifies as male, but still competes against females. So what's the standard here? Is the standard social females, such as Lia Thomas, or is the standard biological females, such as Isaac Hennig? The goalposts are moving and nobody knows what the hell to do, and nobody wants to speak out against it, especially these athletes, for the fear of being called bigots, transphobes, all the phobes and ists out there. That's the problem with society today. People are so afraid of being called ists and phobes that they don't say anything about any of this. Well, this is just, it's ridiculous. This is all just ridiculous because now you have the patriarchy is taking over. As these people like to say has been done for all these years. Well, it's really taken over now because you're having men come through and just absolutely obliterate the female competition. The fact of the matter is, at this point, what I believe needs to be done, people need to start saying something about this. And I know that people are pretty well up in arms about this whole ordeal. They need to establish a specific rule set. If Lia Thomas wants to compete and they want her to compete, I think she's with Penn State. If Penn State wants her to compete, because obviously she's dominating the competition, rules need to be in place so that, I don't know. I'm not sure what the standard should be. In my own personal opinion, if you've got 20 years of development as a male and then you decide to transition over to female, you got no business competing against females. You got a 20-year advantage on your skeletal muscle mass development. It's insane. This is clown world, and it needs to stop. I'll tell you, anecdotal as it may be, I train jiu-jitsu, and when I first started, our coach's wife, who is a purple belt, just tied me up into a pretzel. Absolutely tied me up into a pretzel. And continued to do so for a long time. Now, granted, I'm only a one-stripe white belt, so I'm not super well trained. I'm getting the hang of a lot of the movements and stuff like that. It hasn't all quite become second nature just yet, but I'm getting the hang of it. But the fact of the matter is I am about 150 pounds. Not a big dude. And she is about 130. 150 pound white belt. Maybe not 130. Probably 120, 130 pound purple belt. And she can't really do much to me at all anymore. This is not a brag on me. This is not me tooting my own horn. This is me saying that there is an innate difference between the two of us. Regardless of skill level, there's a gap there that just can't necessarily be bridged. So anyway, this whole thing, we need to set clear rules so that way, either one, this can't happen because it's unfair to them, or these people actually know what they're getting into and just decide not to compete because people like this have an unfair advantage. In fact, if I were to, if I were to give any advice whatsoever, I would just say that these people don't compete. Don't waste your time. If you're going to have athletics, by all means, let the most exceptional women compete. I remember watching Olympic gymnastics, and holy smokes, like that's some of the most fun stuff to watch. Some of the stuff that the women can do in there is it's incredible. All I know is the patriarchy wins again. And I'll leave it there. Anyway, if you made it this long, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have yourself a good day, and go pick up something heavy. Peace.